It's Yours Radio Live 97.5, everything urban breakfast club in the morning. Ryan Banks tonight. Donni-Oh, Devon Beck. We just ran here. Yeah. Cheese, man. We just ran through 30 years of Daylight, man. Let's go. Since 89. Yeah. That took me back, man. Daylight is one of my favorite groups, man. That whole native tongue, man. Particularly Daylight, Tribe, and the Jungle Brothers is like very influential to me growing up. And it's crazy because I learned more, and in KRS-One, although he wasn't part of the native tongue, but I learned more regarding our history through their songs than what I was ever taught in school.
Of course.
Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man.
But we know this, but it's a shame that we got to learn our history through music.
I tell you, I really didn't dive into any of that until I got to college. Like, thank God for going to UMES, taking African American history, African American literature. I wasn't taught any of that stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It was just I had to kind of research it on my own and want to learn that myself because we not taught any of that.
No, and that's part of that. We were just talking off air about the institutional racism that's embedded into the fabric of America. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
that's a bar.
Yeah.
That's a bar.
Yeah, I mean, a white person calling you the N-word or whatever, cone, whatever they want to call you, that's nothing. You know, we talked about earlier, you know, about the child support system, how that is, you know,
man,
Section 8, how they do that, you know. You know, people think, I'm getting over on the system. I only got to pay $75. You ain't owning nothing.
Man, it's designed for you to fail.
Yeah. And for you to always, you know, be a buyer or be a renter, not an owner, you know what I'm saying? Not a buyer, but a renter, and to be propped up by the system. Like, the system controls you. You know what I'm saying? So you'll always be stuck there. And then along with that, you know, you got everything else that goes into it, like the mentality that you have, you know, being there. How do you feel as somebody that owns something that says yours?
Right.
You work for it, you own it. You know, we talked about credit a few weeks ago, and all that helps your self-esteem.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And then your kids see that, and so we'll get out of it. We talk about breaking that curse. We're stuck in that curse for I don't know how many years. You know what I'm saying?
It's
yeah. We say
I mean, credit,
but you got credit cards though. You know
credit is one of those things. Credit is one of those things though. Like we talked about, it's not really taught to you, right? And if you think about it, we see all of these people. You know, these young kids see all these people that they look up to holding up stacks of money to their ear.
Yeah,
that ain't got nothing to do with your credit.
Yeah, and that
you feel what I'm saying?
That holds no value.
That might be all the money you got.
That's it, right?
And then if somebody knock you over the head and take that,
then what you got?
Man, you ain't got nothing.
Right.
You know. Yeah. So that's this free advertisement for the jackers. But yeah, like, you know, just if you financial freedom. You know, Jay talked about that a lot in 444. I mean, obviously Jay's a billionaire, so he doesn't have to worry about finances at all.
Right.
But you know, financial freedom and being smart with your money, like it's never too early. It's never, and it can be too late. Can be too late for you. You know what I mean? Because I think about people with funeral expenses and life insurance and things like that.
Yeah. Like,
these are things that we really don't put into place, you know, properly. So it's important to put those things in the place. Before all of that happens. Like, I have life insurance, you know what I mean? Insurance for my daughters, insurance for my wife. And, you know, it's just one of those things that, I mean, it comes second nature, you know, but people need to get on that.
Yeah.
You know, and we need to do whatever we can to get ahead, opposed to being behind the 8 ball all the time, because we can't always blame others if we're not doing anything to push ourselves forward. You know what I mean? Because if you're gonna fail, it's something set up for you to fail.
Yeah,
we expect it to fail.
Definitely. That's that's the expectation.
Absolutely,
that's the expectation. So let's talk about this Central Park 5.
Oh man,
you know, there's a film, docudrama on Netflix that kind of brought that in. This was 1989. Yeah,
1989 is when it happened.
30 years ago. Yeah, so I think, you know, that, and you know, and the timing couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
For them to put this out, and obviously with Netflix being, you know, a vehicle to bring it to light, because you know, who doesn't have Netflix? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
and I think the director, man, like she did 13th too.
Yeah.
Ava, and I'm gonna say her last name wrong. Dunleavy. I don't know how to say. I don't know how to say her last name. And but she did 13th too, and I got a lot of information in 13th that I didn't know.
Yeah.
So definitely check out 13th.
That's modern day slavery.
Yeah.
Right there.
So
13th Amendment. That's what 13th means. You check out the 13th Amendment and see that, you know, it's still slavery. It's just you're free.
You're locked up.
Unless and that goes back to, we talked about the institutional policies that they put in place to lock us up at a higher rate.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Put these policies in place, put these laws in place where, you know, they're actually targeted for us.
Yes.
And it was pitfalls for us. But at the same time, we don't help the situation by just like walking over to those pitfalls instead of going around them. No. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll do things, you know, to put ourselves in those situations. And then, of course, then we want to blame the man.
Yeah, you can't always blame the man. But going back to the Central Park 5 situation. Now, I don't know. I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but pretty much it's young kids being coerced into saying that they did something that they absolutely didn't do, and being locked up for it and going through like a whole bunch of horrible things. And it's been documentaries about it. It's been out, but I think this is the first time it's been depicted in that way where you're able to see it like kind of firsthand from each one of the people who went through that.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing has been the platform. I mean, it's the first time it's been on a major platform like that.
Right.
You know, you can Google, I mean, you can go on YouTube and they got several documentaries about it.
Right.
And, you know, it's been in different magazines and in different articles in magazines, but nobody reads magazines anymore. You know what I'm saying?
No. They get all their information from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Right.
So if it don't happen on any one of those platforms, it didn't happen.
Right. For sure. But yeah, so and then Donald Trump, he had I remember him putting an ad out in the New York Times about it, you know, and about basically lock these up, you know, we got to fight hate.
Animals.
We got to fight hate with hate. We got to hate them back, you know. And then when they were exonerated, he never went back and recanted. Of course, he's not going to do that. He's not going to admit that I was wrong.
No,
Trump would never do that. But that just goes to show the evil spirit that he has, and, you know, especially towards black men.
And you know, just to hear that kind of talk about young black men, man, that hurts.
Yeah.
Like, and when you watch it like that, the way they depict those guys or the way they're talking about them at that time, like they was just out having fun.
Yeah.
And they're painted as like these animals, and they're, you know, dragging this white woman in the none of that happened.
Right.
And it's like, and I told you off air that I had a long conversation with my dad just yesterday about this very thing. And it's like, you know, how many people are doing time right now? Now, this is something that we know about. This is a story that we know about.
Right.
And obviously there's people that are, you know, behind bars that have done things to get locked up for. But how many situations have happened that we don't know about, that somebody's doing time or they've been coerced into saying, you know what I mean? Because they keep you in there for hours. Yeah. They beat you up. They tell you if you say you did this, you can go home. You just take this plea. You can go home. You're tired. You're hungry.
They'll tell you your man in there snitching on you. You know they'll do anything. I mean, one of the I think it was a scene in Menace to Society when they did that. You know, they tried to. Yeah. You know, your man, I get you off like, because your man's in there talking greasy, man. You know? So they want you to be like, oh, really? Yeah. So
now I'm gonna get him back. And then in the era that we're in with this snitching thing, like you just don't know.
You don't know.
So if somebody say snitch right now, God,
man.
Oh, he's a rat. He's a, you know. So I mean, hopefully,
terrible label I have.
Yeah. Hopefully this docuseries reignites people's awareness in this type of thing. You know what I mean? Even though and we were talking off air about people that are woke. Like sometimes people that are woke, they get on people who are just finding out about these kinds of things. And sometimes you have to be you have to deal with that with kid gloves as well, and let people find and let people find out things when they find them out. You know what I mean? And if you, as long as you're aware, you're aware. Like don't condemn people for not knowing. You know what I mean? They getting all the information on Facebook. You know, so it's that story though, man. I recommend everybody, you know, check it out. Watch it with your younger kids. You know, if you got teenage boys, definitely watch it with them. And it's a good series, man.
Yeah. How many episodes?
It's I think it's 4 different episodes, 4 or 5.
Okay.
But it really goes into depth, man, and Corey's story, man. Good gosh. It's heartbreaking.
Corey, that's one of the one of the guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they definitely got 41 million for their troubles.
Between them?
Between all of them.
Oh, between all of them. Oh.
But okay. I mean, even with the money, man, that does not erase the psychological damage.
Oh no.
The PTSD that they experience from that, the trauma from their families.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your name is forever ran through the dirt as one of the Central Park 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even when we talk about them in that manner, and it's still the situation that happened.
Yeah.
You know, so
you don't. Yeah, it's not
the individual. No.
Yeah, but it's as a group, and and then you talk about, you know, things that they can't get that time back.
No.
And I think they spent between 6 and 13 years between the 5. So whether it's 6 years or 13 or 10 years, that's 6, 10, 13 years that you lost.
Man, I tell people all the time, I ain't got a day. I don't have a day for that. You know what I mean? It's because I anybody that's ever had to deal with any of that, man, I feel for them. You know what I mean? Because your freedom is everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I think black men in particular, you know, we go back to 13th, it's a lot of us locked up. You know, 1 out of 4.
Yeah.
1 out of 4. It's 3 of us in here right now.
Yeah.
You know, so
that means Cheese would be the 4th. So
Cheese would be the 4th.
So he would be getting locked up.
Yeah.
Cheese, don't get locked up, brother. Cheese said, no, but that's 25% of his man, and that's a big. And going back, and that goes back to when we talked about earlier off air. We were saying that 1 out of 4 brothers get locked up. So we were saying me, Ill, and Devon's in here, and I said, well, you make 4th, so don't get locked up, brother.
I did mine.
Yeah. Ill said, I'm done. Don't count me in that. I'm done.
The crazy thing, I was in the streets at one point. So they came through and said they had indictments for everybody. So when they came through and grabbed everybody up, I wasn't there. But when I went to turn myself in, I had the bails bond, I had my lawyer, I had everything. So the prosecutor told me, he's like, you can take 6.5 right now and you good. I was like, nah. I was like, what was the day I supposed to do what I did? He couldn't tell me. So by the time I got the lawyer and everything, we went to court, and my lawyer came back and said, I got some good news and some bad news. I said, well, give me the bad news. The state of Delaware ain't gonna just let it go. I said, well, what's the good news? He said, the prosecutor said he had you on video and audio, and they have none of that.
Wow. So they
he said, going off of your previous record, he says, a gamble for you.
So you went with that gamble.
I ended up taking the plea.
Oh, you? Okay.
I didn't want to take that gamble.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the rest of us.
Yeah, I didn't want to take that gamble.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that they can do that.
It is. Yeah. I mean, but
I had a plea on the table. I had 2 lawyers in Delaware. I had a plea on the table for 18 months key program. When I went to go to court that morning, my lawyer said, man, I ain't never seen nothing like this ever in my life. He said, the prosecutor told me that they taking the plea back and Mr. Adams is going to give us the minimum mandatory 5 to 10 or something like that. Whatever.
Wow.
No, 3 to 5, and I did the 3.
And see, y'all hearing this?
That's when you don't snitch. They do stuff like that.
Man. This is y'all hearing this firsthand, man. These are 2 stories right here firsthand.
Yeah.
You know, so and man, it's disheartening.
It is, man, and it's all a part of the system people ought to understand that the whole. We're gonna get real heavy right here, just real quick, just one time.
Yeah, let's do it
before Ill comes on.
Yeah,
because we got to really understand, like, really what's going on. Like the whole the anti-abortion movement that's going on, particularly if you notice, it's mainly in the South.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And where's most? I mean, it's racism everywhere, but the South is the heaviest, always has been. You know what I'm saying? So you see that going on, and we wonder, like, okay, why do they care about other women, what they're doing with their bodies? It's called race preservation. And it goes back to, because there's been numbers that's put out there based on the population, based on the mixed races, where everything is going right now. The country's getting browner, more brown, more brown. So, and if you notice, the whole immigration thing, keep them Hispanics out of here, it's fear, because they said the way things are projecting, the wave of Hispanics coming over here, the mixing of races, that by 2045, the white race will be the minority. So how do you keep up a race? Well, you got to keep them babies coming. Yeah. So for the black ladies out there, they don't care about you. They want you to have abortions. They don't want the white ladies to have these abortions, because they got to keep the population going. Yeah.
And they're not having it. People aren't having as many babies.
Right.
And anymore. Anyway.
Majority of people on government assistance are white folks, not black folks. But we fall into that because we don't know. We don't do our research. We don't study anything.
And we just assume.
We assume, and we go by the talking heads on TV, whatever they say. That's the gospel. But you got to do your own studying and do your own research, and you'll see, like, these are like actual numbers from the government. You know what I'm saying? Sheesh. So just real quick, piggybacking on that, on the 2020 census, and it was an article that I read on NPR. They talked about how the 2020 census will perhaps be, in 30 years, like the worst undercount of blacks and Latinos. Again, going back to the preservation of the fear of, the race, the white race. They want to keep those population numbers up a lot, and not just because, we want to be superior. Well, they already that. You know what I'm saying? But what it does is it takes away, say for instance, I know in Baltimore City, one of the biggest things they complain about are the lack of rec centers. I know I used to go up there in the summers back when I was younger. Every summer I go up there. My family in Randallstown, and I go up there. Rec centers, community centers, all over the community. We go play ball, table tennis, everything. You know what I'm saying? They don't have those anymore. So that's why you got all these kids out in the streets doing what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So, but if we got our numbers down as a population, then that means they don't get as much funding from the government for those type of activities, for those grants, for those programs, the after school programs and all that. So how do you keep the numbers down? Well, we talk about immigration. The first thing we think of is Mexico and those Hispanic countries. But there's a lot of immigrants from Haiti, from the Dominican Republic, from the islands, you know what I'm saying, from Jamaica, So a lot of them won't get counted because they're afraid that they might send me back. So then that census man come knocking on the door getting that census.
Like you don't live there.
Yeah, you don't live there. That on top of Section 8. Section 8, you're not supposed to have your man living there. So he's non-existent.
Why is that?
Because that's where that's something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, but that's another way of trying to remove the black man from the house. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you, sister.
As long as he ain't there.
He ain't there, exactly.
And then he's not gonna give you that guidance that you need, and the structure of the family is gonna be off.
Yeah, it's all part of that system that we're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so going back to the census, then you take into account all the brothers that's locked in prison. They're not counted.
Really?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I guess because they.
Yeah. That's not counted in the general census.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it more? Doesn't it cost more money to house somebody in prison than it does, like to have them out?
It does. I know in the state of Maryland. This was because was working on a documentary myself.
Right.
Been working on it for a minute, but talking about the it's called War Against Our People.
Mm-hmm.
Putting it out a little ahead, but that's the name of the joint. But doing my research, I found that in the state of Maryland, it's $40,000 a year to house an inmate in the state of Maryland. I was just doing Maryland numbers,
Right.
And then from the labor,
right,
the free labor, the slave labor from the those are in prison. This was in 2014. Because it wouldn't go back no further than 14
right,
for the numbers that I was looking for. But the state of Maryland made over $250 million. That was from the inmates. So that's free labor. So think about like all these, and when like Salisbury State, that furniture is made from the inmates at ECI.
Really?
Yeah, I found that. University of Maryland. Over in Jessup.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's free labor. So you taking away companies that really could have benefited and could have gotten these contracts, but instead the prison system has gotten the contract because it's free. They're
free.
They can
like
they can lowball.
Right.
Oh yeah, we'll do it
since you're here.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, when they's getting these contracts for Salisbury State, they have these contracts. But you know, you have a company. I'll do it for $50 million. The system ECI say we'll do it for 10 because we don't have the overhead that they have.
Right.
Because we get these inmates, they doing it for next to nothing.
So it's like modern day slavery.
Yeah, it is. That's the 13. It goes back to 13. Exactly.
Makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
wow. Thanks for breaking that down, man. You learn something new every day.
It's crazy though how the system is, man. And it's like everyday stuff. And I know you seen it, you experienced it. You know what I'm saying? Because you've been inside and just see how like how it is. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like I guess the thing is, like once you get caught up in the system, like if you want to speak on it, like once that happens, like how is it navigating? Like once you get out, like I see how you move now. You feel what I'm saying?
I mean, mentally, I think I know I'm damaged a little for being incarcerated.
Right.
Like,
right.
You know, I don't like being around a lot of people. I got trust issues.
Right.
Like the prison rules, I apply the prison rules to the streets. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I stay to myself. You know what I mean? I've been doing a lot better that way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you know, I mean, it works though. It kept me out of trouble in there, so it keeps me out of trouble out here. But I mean, mentally, yeah, it'll damage you because it's hard out here. I got felonies. You know, it's just like I've always been an entrepreneur. I always try to be my own boss. And if it wasn't for that and me already installed in me,
right,
I might be messed up out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't even when I first came home, I even humbled myself to go deliver pizza at Domino's, man.
Right.
And after they did my background check, they turned me down.
Yeah.
So, like, it's hard out here.
Mm-hmm.
And that 10, 11 hours an hour, they ain't about nothing. You know what I mean? So when brothers come out here, it's hard, man. So mentally, physically, it's just a whole messed up situation in there. You might not make it out. You might get more time in there.
Yeah.
Some stuff you ain't even did, man. You might be in a situation from a crooked correctional officer. He might come in and have a bad day. And now it's your situation. You know what I mean? It's just crazy in there, man. So, you know, it's just a real messed up situation. I advise anybody and everybody to just stay out of there if you can. You know what I'm saying? True. And get out of there if you in there.
True.
Word.
Yeah, man. It just seems like a no-win. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like a no-win because
it is needed for some. Like my little brother, you know what I'm saying? He got himself in a situation and I could have got him out, but I refused not to get him out because I feel as though he needs that. I feel as though if he got out, he didn't know what he was going to do. I knew what he was going to do, but get in more trouble because he didn't know what he was going to do. So I left him in there, and that's out of love. You know what I'm saying? Because I know he ain't gonna like it, and he gonna get hit. It's only a little bit of time, whatever they give him, but when he come out, he gonna respect it. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully he gonna have he should have his head together with that little bump. You know what I mean? Because I done made many bumps. Right. I feel as though you ain't learned from my bumps. Yeah, you're gonna learn this time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I learned the hard way.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah. It's Yours Radio Live 97.5, Everything Urban Breakfast Club in the morning. Ryan Banks tonight.